YouTube, happy day of the 17th. You might want to look at the day of the month. I don't care about the month. The day of the month. I posted my last video. I did that for a very specific reason, along with the day of the month I posted this one, guys. I don't do anything coincidentally. I've got some very critical articles here I'd like to talk to you about. And then I'm going to ask you a question at the end of the video, so I recommend you watch the entire video, okay? I've got some very critical news here for you guys. This news, everything's happening exactly when it's happening for a very specific reason. Let's talk about the basics and then we'll get into the material I'm going to share, okay? There's a whole bunch of material I'm going to show to you that Iraq is bringing some very critical steps forward, specifically within the month of March, just like you see with this first article here. Okay, March was not chosen coincidentally. All right, you have to look at the country's budget period. Both Kuwait and Iraq have the same budget period, which is April 1st. Okay, so historically, now let's talk about why the timing of the rate change has anything to do with the budget period. Here's why. We could use Kuwait as an example. Countries calculate their budgets off the value of the currency. So in order for them to, we'll say, approve a budget, okay, in order for them to approve a budget, the whatever currency value they're going to utilize has to be public, has to be released publicly before that budget can be approved. So what that means is the rate has to change before the budget can be approved. Okay, it's that simple. So one of the things Kuwait did was Kuwait changed their rate back on March 24th of 1991, specifically on a Sunday. Iraq has to do theirs on a Sunday as well. Okay, it'll be their Sunday, not yours. For you, it'll be your Saturday night. Okay, but again, Kuwait chose to do theirs on Sunday of March 24th before their April 1st budget period. It's that simple, okay? Because budgets are calculated off the value of the currency. Okay, now that you know the basics, let's get into this. The Central Bank of Iraq decides to restore the mechanism for financing Iraq's foreign trade starting next March. Let's cover this article real quick, and then we'll discuss it.
The Central Bank of Iraq decides to restore the mechanism for financing Iraq's foreign trade, starting next March. Logo of the Central Bank of Iraq. The Central Bank of Iraq decided to restore the mechanism for financing Iraq's foreign trade, starting next March. The central bank said in a letter addressed to the banks, which Al-Iqtisad News reviewed, that for the purpose of organizing financing operations for requests to enhance external balances, it was decided to implement the new requirements and mechanisms starting from March 1, 2024. He added that banks wishing to enhance their balance with correspondent banks in all currencies should appoint an external auditor for the purposes of reviewing transfers in advance of the process of sending transfers. Banks wishing to enhance the balance must provide us with information about the names of the companies they wish to contract with within a maximum period of February 29, 2024. He stressed that requests to strengthen the dollar are for banks that hold correspondent accounts with an American bank exclusively, at a price of $1,310. He stated that strengthening other currencies other than the dollar will accept applications at the banks of the currency country, provided that the classification of these banks is either the same as the country's classification or only one rank lower than it, in a way that is consistent with Iraq's import requirements from those countries.
So this was an article from January 28th, and what they're telling you in this article is that the Central Bank of Iraq is preparing the regular banks of Iraq to start being prepared, again, preparation steps, to be able to trade the dinar against other foreign currencies. That's what this article is about. To trade the dinar against other foreign currencies, the dinar itself must be tradable. It must have already revalued. It's that simple. The step of revaluing the currency is what makes it tradable against other currencies. Okay? So, and again, what they're telling you here is that they're going to start preparing for this. They're not actually going to start doing it. They're preparing to do it March 1st. Again, March wasn't chosen coincidentally. Okay? Sometimes you have to set the stage before the big event, if you see what I'm saying. So again, this is a step of them setting the stage before the big event. Now, this article had 5 central bank document attachments that I've translated. Okay? You can pause the video and read these attachments. Here's the first one. Here's the second one right here. Here's the third. Here's the fourth one right here. And here's the fifth. Okay, again, you can pause the video and read these. Now, here's another article for you guys. In this article, what they're telling you in this, it says electronic payment in Iraq. This is electronic payment just to be able to use a debit card at regular retailers. Okay? A project bigger than the abolition of cash and the dollar with a hidden goal. Now, I want you to look at the title. The title has a critical piece to the puzzle. It says a project bigger than the abolition of cash. That means abolishing the use of cash dinar or ending the use of cash dinar. Okay? Now, so one of the things that they're trying to do by implementing electronic payment with debit cards for retailers is to reduce or drastically abolish the use of physical cash dinar. Okay, just like the way we operate in the United States. Now, so it says the decision to implement the use of electronic debit card payments and reduce the use of physical cash, because that's one of their major goals when they revalue is to end the use of physical cash. Okay, there's a highlight in here. It says right here, the decision will be implemented starting March 1st. Again, to reduce the physical use of cash and start implementing electronic payments to retailers in Iraq. Again, this is another step of setting and preparing the stage for the big event. And March 1st was chosen to start this. Not coincidental. Observer. Now, this is more critical news. Okay? Now, it says right here, Observer, ending the mission of the United Nations office in Iraq takes Iraq out of Chapter 7. So what they're telling you in this article is that when the UN exits Iraq and is no longer working directly, exclusively with them, it's automatically going to exit them and remove them from the Chapter 7 sanctions. Okay? Also, when Iraq revalues their currency, that's the step that automatically lifts and removes the U.S.'s sanctions on Iraq. Okay? So again, removing Iraq from their the UN exiting Iraq and no longer working with them automatically will lift and remove the UN Chapter 7 sanctions. But keep in mind, the UN will not be exiting Iraq until after Iraq has already revalued their currency. Okay? Iraq has to revalue before the UN will exit out. Now, here's another critical one. It says right here, UN envoy in Iraq to step down at the end of May. But I have another article that kind of... Actually, this is it right here. I've got 2 articles. This one and this one that both state that Janine Blushart, the dedicated UN rep to Iraq, will be exiting out at the end of May. But let's talk about this one. This one to me was critical, and here's why. Okay, what was the number one thing in the month of January that Iraq kept stating in all the news articles? How they achieved critical stability. Okay, in order for Iraq, the number one thing they have to do is achieve overall stability to be eligible to revalue. Okay, so the whole month of January was Iraq flapping their lips, screaming at the world how they've achieved stability. Look at what Janine Blushart stated right here in red. It says she states in this article she's stepping down at the end of May from Iraq. And again, it'll be after they've revalued. But she's saying for Iraq to further continue on its path of stability and progress, an enabling environment will prove essential. So she's stating that Iraq right now is on a path of stability and progress, and continuing in that direction will prove essential, meaning allowing them to revalue the currency and get back on the world stage. Now, I already showed you guys this one. It's kind of the same as the one above it, but the one above was more critical because of that red highlight right there. How Janine Blushart states Iraq is on a path of stability and progress to prove themselves essentially, which basically allows them to revalue the currency and again get back on the world stage. Okay, so I just wanted to show these to you guys. This is very critical news. Again, the UN and Janine Blushart won't be exiting out until after Iraq is revalued. That's why they're choosing the end of May. Plus, after they revalue, they still have some additional remaining steps needed and required. So that's why she's choosing closer to the end of May. But she is telling you that within this red highlight that Iraq is on path to be eligible to revalue because of their stability and progress. Okay? So that's very critical. And then these other steps that they talk about where they reference, okay, March as being the starting point to abolish the use of cash dinar or end the use of cash dinar, reduce the physical use of cash dinar, and implement electronic payment for retail use in the country of Iraq. That starts March 1st. And here the UN is stating that not the UN, the Central Bank of Iraq is stating that they're going to be positioning banks within the country of Iraq, okay, to be able to start preparing to trade the dinar cash against other foreign currencies. In order to trade the dinar against other foreign currencies, they have to revalue the currency. And the preparations for this will start March 1st. Again, March was not chosen by coincidence. And look back at Kuwait's historical actions, guys. And again, notice how this video came out on the 17th of the month, and so did the last one. And I want you to think about something here. Now, this is the question for you guys I told you I was going to bring you. The question is this. In the last video I did for you guys, I showed you the starting point of the U.S.'s interactions with Iraq. It was on March 17th of 2003. Okay? That's exactly when all of the interactions between the U.S. and Iraq started. So now here's the question to you. Is it possible that the U.S. might end its actions with Iraq on the anniversary date of when it started? So is there a possibility that the U.S. might end its actions with Iraq on March 17th of 2024? Think about that carefully. You guys are the best on YouTube. Be blessed, take care, and have an amazing day, guys. Take care.